Hi, everybody. Welcome. I'm Terry at Holding Your Space, and here's Debbie Freebird and Kim from Intuiview.
Hello.
I'm so glad you ladies are here. It's like two of my favorite teachers on YouTube.
Oh.
So, and thank you so much for being here. Debbie, I know you just finished your first Reiki class.
Yeah, the first one of the five series of five. Yeah, so today was the first one.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was. It was fun. Interesting. The first initial class in Reiki is not super not very many hands-on. It's more of like learning the underneath of it, the basics, and the history, the culture, the whole thing of it. So, but we still found a few fun things to do to make it interactive. But yeah,
That's great. And I mean, I followed you guys both for years, but also and been a member, but also I've taken courses from you all. And I kind of wanted to talk about that today, about how giving back and teaching and how that changes your vibration, but also what you know changes your energy.
I'm sharing the live stream onto my page right now. Sorry.
Oh, good. That's great.
Everybody's like, why is Debbie looking away from Terry right
now? No, it's good. It's good. And I kind of feel like when we teach or when we give readings to someone, it changes everything. It's like then you just know it.
Well, Kim, did you want to go first? You want me to dive in on this one?
Well, repeat that again. Say that again.
Okay.
Sorry, I was disruptive. I'm disrupting the class.
That's okay. That's all right. I just want to hear it again because I want to make sure that go ahead.
Yeah, no, it's good. So, okay, I wanted to talk about energy and how it changes. And you two are teachers, but how teaching something to someone changes the energy and how you know it. Also changing your vibration. And then, of course, it's on an 1111 portal. So how everything expands. And then also, you two are such great teachers together because I've taken courses from the two of you at the same time. And the combination of energy, like where one or more gather, right? And how that changes energy as well. Does that make sense or is that vague?
It does.
It makes sense. I do feel, for me, teaching is very fluid. And so when you find someone that can kind of just join in that synchronized swimming fluidly together, that makes a really good teaching team. And I feel like Kim and I are able to really do that. And so that's helpful for us, I think, because we were able to kind of do this dance together. Teaching is fluid. I'm going back to that. Within ourselves, our own energy, because we're also, we're not teaching from a box. We're teaching, open to new knowledge coming in, even while you're teaching. It's my perspective. If you go into a class and it's rigid, you're just going to get the rigid teaching. I think everything's kind of fluid and everything's expanding and our knowledge is expanding. So even while we're teaching, our knowledge is expanding with the class. And that creates a beautiful experience for everyone, I think, if the teachers come together like that and then offer the space of expansion together, a shared experience like that.
Yeah, I completely agree with what Debbie's saying. And I think that This is it's like a big subject in a way. But I think teaching, it's interesting because to me, it's fascinating how people enter this world of spirituality, however you walk in the door, and how everybody finds their place. And so often you'll begin as a reader. You'll begin as kind of it's almost like testing your gifts in a way, over and over and over again. So you start as a reader, a lot of people do, and then you kind of move into another area. You move into another expanded area of reading, or you move into teaching. And I think that making that leap was kind of, it was so nice to have, because I had some recorded classes, and then Debbie got in touch with me. And what I mean, literally like a couple of days ago, I was talking to Cassie about this, that it was really interesting to me because I've had three kind of major careers. A singer was for 20 years, a teacher, a preschool teacher for 15 years, and now I'm in this phase. And in each of those, I felt more comfortable in a team. As a singer, I would sing backup, and I would sing leads, and I was always in a band, like an ensemble, people around me. Same with teaching at preschool. I always had an assistant, and I always had a very tight-knit group of teachers that we were all very supportive of each other, so you didn't feel alone. And then in this too, I've kind of found, this partnership with Debbie. And then again, when we just did our retreat, it was an ensemble. It was people, kind of sharing the experience of teaching. And so for me personally, it's a wonderful, I like the surroundedness of it. I like the surroundedness of the teaching aspect and teaching with Debbie. And I love the surrounded feeling that I have with the people that are learning. And Debbie's right. It's an expansion for everybody. People that are learning are learning, and that seeing them learn is an expansion for us because it's so heartwarming and so exciting. I'm getting chills thinking about it right now.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is the expansion you go through with each class, with each student, with each question that people ask. They ask questions that challenge us because we're like, and that's where it's good to have a team, because it seems one of us will be able to answer at some point. Yeah. But so it is. I totally agree with that expansion idea, but I also love the I don't know how to put it, the surrounded nature, that kind of ensemble feeling where you're all working at something as a group. It's really appealing to me as a soul. It must be just that soul, we're all interconnected. And maybe the closer I get to knowing my soul, the more and more and more I really desire that.
Mm-hmm. And being able to the best thing is when people, when they see the diamond within themselves, those moments of, I can do this. Yes. Yeah. Or whatever it is. It's such a wonderful thing to share.
Yeah, I remember on one of our classes, our second to last, I think it was like the second to the last class. And one of our students was like, came out of a breakout room where they were able to do, test some of the things we were doing. And she was like, I think there's something to this. It's like, all of a sudden she just realized this is real and I'm doing it and there's something to this. So just feeling that like expansion right there of somebody who was clearly like kind of like, I don't know about this the whole time, even though it didn't, come across that way. Of course, right. You participate in the class, but then it was like, oh my gosh, this is real and I'm doing it. And that seeing that just like expansion just happen. It's so amazing. It really is so fun to be a part of.
And you two are probably two of the most empathic people that I've met before. I mean, both of you just can pick up on others' feelings, and you're so soft and kind about it. There's just an energy about both of you, and the way that comes together is so easy, I think, for us to learn from. Um,
Oh,
why do you feel like, not why you're an empath necessarily, but how do you maintain that? Because there's so much energy that's coming in and chaos around the world.
That's true. I mean, Debbie can answer for herself, but I think that for me, that's very nice of you to say, first of all, Terry. I think that for me, being an empath, being kind of that feely type, being able to determine people's emotions and take them on and be sensitive to people and be kind of the person they talk to, the person they come to. That's just always been my place. I mean, I've never, like, that's just like it's how I have always been. And I think that the softness that you perceive comes through personal tragedy and personal, I'm getting chills with that. Like my family's like, yeah. But I think it comes from experiencing the harshness and the pain of the world on a personal level, and being able to integrate it and internalize it and then use it, turn it into something. I think that's what you're perceiving, because it's not as if we don't, like, oh, we're just going floating around. It's not that. It's that we absolutely positively know. And like I said, I'll let Debbie speak for herself, because I know she has her own stories with this. But it's that taking that in, internalizing, feeling it fully, and then using it.
for power.
It's that vulnerability that we're very, very willing to share, because we know how tough the world is. We absolutely know it, and we need that softness in the world to fall on, because it is harsh. It is hard.
And I just ditto what Kim said in regard to that. And the challenge with being the empath, and then also going through the trenches of the harshness of the world, I have also learned to protect myself. And sometimes it doesn't always come off soft. It may come off as resting bitch face. You know what I mean? But I've learned also with that, oh, that's not what I wanted to project. I didn't want to project resting bitch face. That's not what I'm feeling on the inside at all. But I had armor up. And so it's been a process for me to learn how to take some of that armor down that I don't need anymore, but I needed to survive the harshness of the world, of my world. But now, but learn. So those can be some challenges. I'm saying that in hopes to help some of the family here that also are empaths and had to learn how to protect themselves and put guard up, and so people misinterpret you because of that. But I have learned over time to go ahead and release some of those, over time, healing and releasing some of the guards that I no longer need to protect myself from the harshness. I perceive the harshness different now too, because I've grown to a different place.
I was going to say that I think a lot of for me, I think a lot of people perceive it as shyness or being really, really quiet. But you're right.
That's nice for you.
It's what's that?
I said, that's nice for you. I get the resting bitch face, but you get
I'm sure there was that too. but I do, because people would describe me as shy when I was younger. People would describe me as shy or quiet. And I would think, I don't really see myself like that, really. It will take me a while to observe and warm up sometimes, just to know I'm safe to step out. But I think again, you're right. It's a perceived thing because you are kind of like you're in observation and is it safe mode for a while as an empath.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love those answers. So talking about protection, like right now, what are you working on? How do you do that? Is that just a natural thing, or is that something that you call in every morning in bed? Um, how does that work for you?
For me, it's changed. I used to do it almost like almost ceremonially, like light a candle and do like a whole thing. And now I literally say to my spirit team, I know you have me. I know you have me. And I think that my give me chills again. I think giving that
Thank you.
moving into right away, that moves you into faith, into trust, into knowing, but also calling it in at the same time. So so that's kind of a thing I go to before I read, when I get up in the morning, if I'm going someplace new or if I'm going someplace, like we're planning to go to the movies today. So I know that that's a thing I'm going to have to do before we go, but it's gotten very, very short and sweet for me. What about you, Debbie?
So for me, I got distracted because I was going to say hi to everybody.
Oh yeah, we have to do that.
Because everybody keeps saying hi, and I'm like, oh, I don't want everybody to feel like we're ignoring me. Okay, remind me of the question again.
Oh, I'm calling in protection.
Oh yeah. Okay, so so I used to concentrate on calling in protection, but now I've moved into because I lived in a space of feeling like I needed to be on guard, right? So now, as I've gone through shifts and in more awareness, I'm putting my energy towards gratefulness. And so when I wake up in the morning, the first thing I'm like to my team or spirit, thank you for today, and I'm grateful for the opportunities that will be in my placed in front of me today, and for the most benevolent outcome, or whatever it is, I'm asking that I just kind of place more of a positive. I know that I'm in the highest intention of today. That's my intention for today, and acknowledging that I'm stepping forward in that positive energy for the day, and putting my intention towards that instead of if I wake up immediately and focus on protection, I'm going to need then I'm on the defense, right? Do you see the difference? So yeah. I've learned that over time. So if I could give any encouragement to the empaths in the family here that wake up and do their protection, and I encourage that, absolutely. But also where your energy is placed is kind of where, right, what you're opening up for. I know that I'm protected. I have a gatekeeper. I've already set that all in place. I already know that I have my guardian angel, and I have full faith that I'm in protection. So I don't have to continue to focus on that. So that's where I'm at with it.
That gives me tingles too. All right, you're right. Let's say hi to everybody. Sorry, guys. Lisa Foster, hello, beautiful. Seascape, hello. James, how are you? Lori, hey, Betsy Palmer, aloha. Jessica Lynn, Julie Johnson, Book Bewitched, Brenda T. Hi, Gerald. Kevin's here.
Hi, Kevin.
Kevin Lewis, yay. And Scorpio Mama Karen, Marianne Sikas. I've been thinking about you because been working with Medusa energy. I love her.
Ooh.
She works a lot
Ooh.
with the Medusa. I think I met Marianne at one of your classes too. Scorpio Mama. Gosh, a lot of people here.
Hi, everyone.
Sick.
And oh yeah, and
Hi, everybody. There's so many.
yeah, I know. Hi, everyone. I just wanted to make sure that they're like, do they know that we're here chatting? And they're chatting?
And we
Yeah.
have a lot of people in our classes that have their own channels now, are readers now, are, you know, I think that creating that community and that support system and people really, you know, encouraging others, you know, like you said, you met this, you know, Marianne in the class and now you're doing things together. It's just so, yeah, it's just so wonderful. And it's so, amazing. And I've said before on my own channel that it's right now, it's all hands on deck. If you didn't notice, it is all hands on deck right now. Every light worker that's out there needs to be doing what they think they should be doing and moving into that fully, and not be afraid to, because we need everybody.
Yeah.
Yes.
I love that. So I love what both of you had to say about coming from a place of being thankful and already knowing, and talk about that maybe with manifesting, because I feel like that's such a key point that sometimes we forget about. Like we wish for something, but knowing that you have it and being grateful for it already changes the whole key.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, I think remembering too that manifesting doesn't happen overnight. You know, we live in a very dense, slow vibration, and that's the point. It's for us to experience something very different from where we normally are or where we come from, where things are very instantaneous. And we're here in this very dense reality that forces us to hold on to an idea or hold on to a something we want to do or something we want to accomplish. And there are very deliberate steps we have to take. It's all so slow. And even though manifesting helps things to arrive sooner or helps things to help you to align with things better so that it comes in sooner, it still takes time. And I think sometimes when people think manifesting, and I also think that there's something in them that knows where we come from and knows how fast it is normally. So it's like, oh, this is so slow. But that is something to keep in mind when you manifest, because when you put the order into the universe, they have got it. I always say to, when I talk about this with Cassie, I'm like, it's like putting your order in at a restaurant.
Right.
You put your order in and you don't stop the waiter every 5 seconds and say, did you get that? Did you get that? Did you get that? Because I got that. Let me tell you again. Let me tell you again. Let me tell you. It's like you put it in, they've got it.
Yeah.
Assume it's on its way.
I love that analogy. Yeah.
Right? Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah.
Love that. So Deb, do you have like a way that you manifest besides just being thankful, which is a huge thing, to know that something is coming, putting something into action?
Yeah. You know, I think, you know, everybody has these formulas for manifesting. You know, everybody has the way to do it. This is the way to do that. This is the way to do that. And you know, I'm a little challenged, you know, in following rules or if you know, when people say this is the way, I question that. You know what I mean? I'm like, how do you know that? You know what I mean? That's the way. I really feel the universe is so a source, and you're connected to source, and when you put that order in, like Kim said, you know, you put that that intention out there, and rest in that. Rest in the knowledge that the fact is that love has the highest and best intention for you. And so I do recognize what you put your energy towards and your thoughts towards. That's what produces. So when you put your thoughts and energy towards that gratefulness, or towards, let's say you're wanting financial abundance or whatever, you're not putting your energy and thoughts toward the bills you have to pay. You're putting it towards the energy of love and light, with the abundance of financial abundance or whatever. So you're not putting it towards the negative. So I have learned that much. I also work with a vortex. So I think Abraham Hicks talks about that vortex. That seemed to click with me for understanding, bringing understanding. And I literally just visualize this whirlwind and vortex right next to him. I'm like, oh, that's in my vortex. You know what I mean? I don't even know what vortex means, but I just know it's there.
I love that.
And it feels good, and it's positive. And so that seems to really help me keep in that gratefulness and positiveness of something I may be manifesting.
I love that idea of the vortex, because I see that too a lot. Does it make a difference for you if it's clockwise or counterclockwise?
So so if you want to bring it in, so
Yeah.
you're bringing it in clockwise. So that's coming in. Mm-hmm. We just talked about that in class today.
Oh,
bringing energy in.
That's a class I want to take. I also have to talk about resting bitch face, because I don't think I've ever seen it, Debbie.
I know, I have not seen that either.
And that was a challenge. I mean, it was a challenge probably before I ever came on to here, but that was one of the challenges of being empath and trauma and the harshness of the world. I went inside. And so it could look like shyness. It could look like, but mine, like people tended to like to think that it looked like a bitch.
And I was
Why are
going
you so mad all the time, Debbie? You're so mad. I'm like, I'm not mad.
Not mad at all. I was just going to say too that with with manifesting, how to something that has really helped me, and that I, as you know, I'm a proponent of, is being clear on the intention. Get clear on your why. Why do you want this, or why? And kind of do some self-exploration, because sometimes when I've thought I want something, or I'd like this to happen, when I really dig down and think, but why, sometimes it's a very shallow answer. And I think, well, maybe I don't, maybe it's not. So I think that affects things. So I think being really clear on your why and making sure that it's a positive, it's a higher vibration why, because if you want a car to show off and show how well you're doing, that carries a different vibration than I want a car to take my family safely from place to place. Those are two very different vibrations. And so I think getting clear on that, it can help it not only to come in sooner, but also to come in with the right feeling behind it. And it will feel better. Because things will come, if you, manifesting is that way. We create our reality, right? But if you call things in and it's for a weird reason, or a negative reason, or not, or ego or something, it will be probably short-lived, and it will probably not be very satisfying, So.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
That is so beautiful. So, I love what you guys are talking about, and being gentle with ourselves about being in 3D, and it's not coming in fast enough. But also, like do you have good points for that? But also, while we're being gentle with ourselves, abiding in our feelings, and tips for doing that. Because sometimes we're like, well, I feel like a new car, I feel like a new purse, but is that what we really feel like? Do you have points or tips about going within and really feeling that in your heart?
Could you repeat, Terry? I'm
Well,
sorry, you blacked out for just a second for me. Just the very first
Oh,
part of what
sorry.
you said.
Sorry.
I
Yeah.
missed the first. I'm so sorry. It's going to be all just me asking you to repeat things. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. It might be my connection. So when we're being gentle with ourselves in the 3D world and allowing things to come in and not as fast as we're used to on a different plane or different dimension, then how do we abide in that, being gentle with ourselves and loving and knowing what we truly want? Like, do you have any tips for that? Because do we want a new car? Do we want a new purse? Do we want, world
Right.
peace?
yeah, you have to be careful with that because
I mean,
where is that coming from? Yeah.
For me, I always imagine if it were already here, what would it feel like? And sometimes just that feeling is enough. And I'll think, I don't really need that. I just need to bring myself to this feeling myself. I always think that I want to live somewhere in the middle of nowhere. That's what I always think. And then I imagine myself there and I think, no, I just need this feeling of kind of peace and being kind of at one with myself and just myself in spirit and just feeling that connection and only that. And that's what I'm really craving. It's really not a place in the middle of nowhere. But I always go back to that. But then when I imagine it or when I go into that space or I move into that, what I usually find out is that I just want that feeling. I don't necessarily want the house and the being in the middle of nowhere. And so I try to do that often, especially when I really think that I want to make this change, or I'd like this, or I'd like to do this. I imagine myself already there and give myself the opportunity to see, am I really wanting this particular thing or just the feeling of this? And if that's the case, I can do that anytime. I can just imagine it and I'm there, right? So yeah.
And it's also important to link off of that, Kim, to understand where that initial desire is coming from. Is it coming from your higher mind, or is it coming from a space of pain and protection and comfort that you're just trying to comfort yourself in one way or another because of some old programming or old trauma that's still kind of hanging on to you? And so this will make me feel better, and this will make me feel better.
Mm-hmm.
And if I have this, and if I have this, that's going to fix all that.
Mm-hmm.
Your team's not going to give that to you because you're pulling those things into you for the wrong reasons. They still want you to move through those experiences and heal and go through the healing process and the expansion process. At which point, some of these doors, you might go, oh, I don't even want that anymore. That's not even a desire in my radar right now. But I still want that. And so that's still something that I feel I really want to experience, like that. And for my highest and best good. Right. And so that's kind of check and make sure that it's coming from the higher mind space instead of the more challenged areas that are still healing.
Speaking of which, when things are coming from higher mind sources, I know everyone gets a different feeling or tingling sensation, or how does that manifest itself for you ladies? Or do you want to share that?
That's a secret, Terry. Well, that's a great question. How do I know that I'm coming from my higher mind? Well, I do, some of the things, if it's coming from a place of love and in that higher intention, then that's a clue to me. If a message is coming in and it feels like it's more discouraging and doom, then it's not from my higher mind. Any discouraging and doomy and pathetic and blah, any of those, I know that is not coming from my higher space and my higher mind. Yeah.
Yeah, I have the same thing with if it's fear-based, anything fear-based, it's not. And I also, for me, especially when I read, there's a feeling to it. There's a feeling that is almost, for me, I feel almost like a relaxation flow over me. It's very calm. At least this is my experience. It feels very calm. Now, when you move into working with in mediumship, you sometimes pick up the things that they're feeling so that's when it can shift and change. But when you're just in that kind of space, to me, it feels very loving, very calm. It has a feeling to it. And it's almost and it is a vibrational shift, right? It does almost feel like you are resting in a different place. I always describe it as like I'm here normally, and then when I read, I'm just here. It's like it's just a shift. And the more you practice and the more you do it, and that's part of it. That's why we even do classes, is because that's part of moving, knowing when you're in that and when you're not in that, when you're in that, when you're not in that, because it's a slight shift. It's not huge. It can be sometimes, but it's usually not. It's usually just kind of a little bit of almost like, I always, maybe like when you daydream, that kind of space where you're just kind of open and kind of just letting things flow and everything's kind of calm and peaceful. Most people don't daydream when they're stressed out. They usually daydream when they're just kind of, letting things flow. So often when I was younger, I would daydream and I was really channeling. I was really moving into someone's energy or now I recognize that now, but when I was younger, it was like, on every report card, Kim daydreams too much. She's always daydreaming. She needs to stop that. So, but that is what that is. It's kind of a moving into someone's energy, channeling mode, mediumship mode is all kind of that. So to me, it's a feeling that you have when you move into that. And then also, like Debbie said, that, you put it perfectly, but yeah.
How many daydreamers do we have here that you got busted for daydream? Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Every year. Yeah.
Right. In school, it was just like, you can look at my old records and it's all written out.
Every report card. She's nice and she's polite, but she daydreams way too much.
Looking out the window too much. Yep. See, Terry's. Everybody's raising their hand. I'm telling you.
Terry is not in the classroom. She's out the window.
Has left the building.
Remember what that feels like. And that is you kind of blending into that, blending with spirit. You're moving into that receiving state, that openness.
So if Terry, if you go to 406, time 406 on yours, to Ellen Quinlan, if you could click on that comment, she said at 406. I think you're Mountain Time, right?
No, I'm the other one, Central. The other one I had to.
I mean Central, 406. Yeah, 406. That's what I meant to say. Ellen says here, it seems to me that any time good things happen to me, it seemed to get punished for it. For example, I was given a trip to Germany and I came home and my car broke down. Is it possible I bring it on myself? So Ellen, what I was hearing with this, my team was bringing in for you in regard to this, is an old programming where what you deserve, right? So there's a feeling here of you don't deserve this, you don't deserve that, you don't, or there's a feeling of lack here where like I shouldn't be able to do that. Some sort of feeling in regard to that, like some type of programming there that you would take a look at and release, because you do deserve to go to Germany. This is a beautiful experience for you, and there's nothing on this planet that should ever come in and say that you don't deserve that, right? So so that energy comes in and steals from you because there's that place that you're kind of focusing that I don't deserve. So then it creates that, right? Like you said, maybe I made that happen when and maybe not, maybe not, but it's an opportunity. Your team has given you an opportunity to kind of take a look at those and release any of that lacking thoughts and programming and replace it with the truth. The fact is that you are perfectly deserving to go to Germany, or you know what I mean, right? Thank you, Terry. I
Yeah.
kind of stuck out, and I thought
Oh,
to
Ellen.
answer a question for many.
I agree. I love that question, Ellen. And I feel like a lot of times we don't reward ourselves often enough, right? When we're in that process of taking care of ourselves and nurturing ourselves and being gentle with ourselves, like you were both talking about earlier, then you're receptive to all that. So how do you do that? How do you have specific ways that you reward yourselves? Like, okay, I'm going to teach this Reiki class and then I'm going to go for a walk, or I'm going to be in nature, or what is your reward system? And is there something that you can share that will help with that?
Well, I think that's funny that you think that my reward system to me would be going for a walk. Oh, I love it. Yeah. And before I answer that, can I just? I'm so sorry. I'm
No.
connected into this question here,
Yeah.
but I feel like it's for more than just Ellen. So when you're told the programming that they're talking about here, when you're told eat everything on your plate, there's people in need. You need to sit here and you do not move until you eat everything on this plate because there's people who are starving.
Mm-hmm.
That alone can create what you're feeling, Ellen, right?
Yeah.
So I did want to say that. And so for all of us that lived in that time period, that alone could create this scenario.
I think that's common, and especially if you're raised in religion, I think that's very common. I mean, they even have like what was the thing where you hit yourself on the back,
right?
Just for being alive. Yeah. It's like a self-punishment and reward and punishment. But for me, Terry, to answer your question, that a lot of my reward is particularly lately, it's to kind of allow myself to, and I try to live in the moment. I really try to do that all the time. But the treat is when I'm just like, I am just going to let everything go and pet my dog. And that is a reward to me, to just let work go, let whatever emails go, let family drama go, let all of it go and just be with my dog and pet my dog. To me, that is, it's what we should be doing more of. I guess I should speak for myself, what I should be doing more of all the time. But that is to me, that is a reward, because so much of life is piled on us, and, even people, even though we try to live as spiritually as we can and all these things, we still have to deal with, the day-to-day stuff that gets piled on, and the mailman and the this and the going to the post office. Or I don't know, I'm obsessed with the post office, but it's not that big of a deal. But the things that come up that are just like, clearly the post office is driving me mad. But those little everyday things that tend to just kind of wear us down. And I think even just saying, I'm not going to think about anything else, but just doing this one thing, eating this bowl of ice cream and fully enjoying every bite,
in that moment,
fully being in this moment. It's any reward you give yourself is that much better if you're just like, and this is what I'm doing right now, and I'm going to enjoy every single part of this. And that is what Spirit wants. They want us to love our life. They want us to love every moment. They really, really do. Negative things happen here because negative things happen here. It's what happens here. We have to grapple with sickness and pain and death and our pets getting sick and this going wrong and this happening. It's just part of life. So I think too, with the last thing that you were talking about, Debbie, with, I can't remember, I'm sorry, I forgot the name of the person. Ellen.
Yeah, sorry.
That they, negative stuff just happens. It really, really does. And your spiritual practice is there because it's to help you deal with the negative thing that happens, hopefully in a faster and more graceful way. That's why it's there. It's not to stop bad things from happening. Because I think a lot of people, and I know this because I've had conversations about this, I'm being really spiritual. I'm trying really hard, and yet this happened. I'm doing what I'm supposed to. I'm meditating every day, and yet this happened. And it's like, no, the meditation is for when the bad thing happens, because bad stuff's going to happen. It's Earth. It's going to happen. When that happens, then you have a toolbox to open and you pull out your tools. And that's when it comes into play, is when that stuff, when the tire gets flat, or when, you don't freak out and lose your temper. You breathe and you move into whatever you've been practicing for the last 6 months. That's what it's for. It's not to stop bad stuff from happening. Just the earth plane and stuff's going to happen,
And there may be a reaction to bad stuff, and that's okay, but it's where you go with it then. And so, Ellen, I just really, I do feel that your spirit team is offering you an opportunity to release some of this old programming that still kind of drives your bus, and wanting to give you back the reins, wanting to give you back the steering wheel fully. You are so beautifully made and whole and complete and loved. And that's what they want you to know. And so when these things happen and they pull you down, and that's a normal reaction, right? That's a normal response to hard things, but it's where we go with it. And so I like to, let's look at an opportunity. I think the other day something happened, and it just kind of like a few things right in a row, and I'm just like, what the fuck, right? like what in the world, So I had that moment of like, all right, I need to pay attention here, and then I went into my higher mind because I saw it as an opportunity. I'm like, I live in this world, just like Kim's saying, stuff is going to happen. Stuff is just going to happen. It doesn't always mean something, but stuff is going to happen, and it does offer you an opportunity to how you're going to respond to it. So I do say the F word.
Yeah. No, yeah. The F word has power.
Move that energy.
Yeah.
Move that energy on out.
I do too occasionally. I really do. It's a great word. It's for some reason that word just packs the right punch at the right time.
It's just like, there you go. It's out.
I love that.
Release it.
Yeah. So how do we reprogram ourselves to act not from fear, but from curiosity or from empathy?
I think, well, if we're talking about negative things when they happen, or what we may call bad things, it's trying to resist seeing things as good or bad. Just they are what they are. And I think so often I'm able to release things more quickly when I just think it just is what it is. I don't know. There's always a higher perspective to everything. And I don't know if this is going to be a blessing at some point. I can think of a person in politics right now that we don't know what this person, even as horrible as they seem, what they may mean 20 years from now, and what they may have put into motion because of their awfulness, that these other great things came out of it. We really don't know. And I think, getting into that as quickly as possible is a really good practice.
That's a beautiful example, using that human example. But also, let's look at our bodies. Like when our body goes out on us and defies us in one way or another, and we can sit in that. We can sit in that and rest in, like, losing this ability or losing that ability. And I only say this because I'm experiencing it in my own life. And I could really put all my energy in the loss of something, or I can look for another avenue. Since I can't do this thing anymore, that means I can do, this door has opened, and let's say I can't see, then my hearing gets better. Do you know what I mean? That's the type of scenario I'm talking about. So even in your body, things, you can look at it in that example. It can be, there's always another avenue or something else that can open up to move towards. We're always expanding. So don't think that when one thing isn't working the way you want, that you've stopped expanding. You are always expanding and always growing. And there's always avenues to maneuver in. No matter what's taken from you or what grief you're working through, or pain, or that's not the whole of you. That's not your whole story. Look for that other path that's going to open up, that you can continue to expand and grow in. That's my thing. Always look for the other path.
That opening that you're talking about, Debbie, I always think of that as grace. When you think about what grace is, that is what that is that when you see that opening, or you get that other direction, and then that is what grace is. And you can invite that in anytime, because I've been doing that recently, because we had a situation, and I asked to see this a different way, because everything is perception, right? So I wanted to see this a different way so that I wasn't so upset by it. I wasn't so annoyed by it. How do I see this differently? And when I figured it out, that was the grace that entered to release me from that really, personal torment, or, we do this all the time to ourselves, but that grace that enters, it's so beautiful to experience that. It is a gift. It is a divine gift.
It is beautiful. The family here is just being amazing.
Lewis,
Attaching
on an emotional level to the experience is a beautiful opportunity, gateway to heal another slice of the soul. Wow. Wowza.
Yeah.
That's beautiful, Kevin. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. Sharon O'Brien says, just when my life freed up and it's time for me to start having health issues that are still in question. I'm sorry, Sharon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just reading that. Yeah, that's yeah. And I think that what Debbie was talking about, and I think something for Sharon as well, because health issues are they're so difficult on us in
Because
some
they're so
ways.
here.
Yes, exactly.
Here.
But there's something that I love that in one of Eckhart Tolle's teachings, that I love. But his thing is about, and this has come up in readings for me before, for people, that you have an opportunity to not layer the trauma, or the layer the bad thing with more bad things. So not adding on mental anguish. Why is this happening? This can't be happening now. Why now? I was going to do this. So that mental anguish, and also that layering on that kind of emotional stuff too, depression or sadness or anxiety or worry, or try to take the things you can control away from the situation. And then when you just are dealing with the health thing, that's like what Debbie's talking about, when grace can kind of enter and give you sort of a path to acceptance, to and then once you accept where you are, and you're not in that fight mode, once you're accepting of that, then you all of a sudden can see the next step. When we're fighting with it, it's really hard to have clarity and to see what the next step should be, or what the next path is. It's really hard to see that when we're we're completely in it.
Yeah. And remember, these are all just parts of our story. It's not our whole story. And it's so easy to make the challenges our whole story because it's so present. But remember, it's only part. Yeah.
Love that. Well, I feel like we're all here, and we get these effing growth opportunities, I like to call them, the FGOs, right?
Yeah.
But they do make us humble, and they do kind of help to see, oh, I remember you. I know what you are. You're the FGO. Yeah.
Mary, I think that you're really good at this too. When challenges come, that you're able to move through the energy of it. You hold space for it, and then you seem to be able to really move into the love energy, no matter what it is that you're challenged with. How do you do that?
I've had a lot of opportunities.
You're as old as you.
I think you were both saying when big stuff happens, right? Big trauma. Then the next trauma that comes up, you're like, yeah, been there, done that. And it is easier, sadly, each time that trauma layers on top of itself if you've kind of been aware of it. And like you were saying also, Kim, to go through that, seeing things with awareness instead of being attached to the pain or being attached to the
yes, awareness.
Yeah. Presence.
Yeah.
Deepak says awareness, and Eckhart says presence, right?
Yeah.
It's all energy. Yeah.
And I make up my own words for it because I didn't know any.
Well, thank you both so much for being here. What a joy it was. And I wish I could have posted everything that everybody said, because amazing comments from the family.
Great. Thank you for being a part of this conversation with us, everyone.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. Do you have any parting words of wisdom, or what you're doing coming up, or anything?
Well, Debbie's in the middle of a class right now, and I'm sure we'll do classes next year. We're kind of really wrapped in our retreat for a long time and preparing for that. So now that that's done, we're kind of looking to the future. I think I'm going to do a couple classes on my own. I'm sure we'll do some together. I'm sure Debbie will do. I'm not speaking for Debbie. I don't know. Maybe she's not. Maybe she's like, no, I'm not teaching anymore. But go to my website, see what I'm doing, because I don't know until I do it. But yeah, and parting words. I would just say one thing that I keep getting for all of us right now is to, because and we I don't know if you talk politics on yours, Terry, but we do on ours. And if you are a news watcher, to, dip in and dip out. Don't try not to get pulled in and stuck there, because there's a lot of really heavy energies right now attached to the news.
And also very triggering for anyone who has experienced trauma.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And yeah. So that would be my parting, just a word of wisdom, because they can really, especially right now, because we have stuff like court cases and wars and things, and they're very, come in and stay all day and see what happens. And it really can affect your energy. So if you can try to dip in, see what's going on, and then step out of it and go back into your own life and preserving your own energy. And, I don't know who said it first, if it was Gandhi or if it was Obama, but be the change. If you see something you want change, be that first. If you want peace in the world, how can you find more peace in your life and bring peace into your own world with your relationships or with your, in your home or whatever. But spending more time in that and working with that, because it is at least something you can have some control over. The stuff in the world, it can be very discouraging and very depressing if you stay in that energy too long. So that's just an idea.
It's beautiful.
Yes. And New Year. Looking forward to the new year. Kim and I will be hosting classes. Super excited about that, beginning again. And also our own things. Like Kim said, check it out on our websites, and we'll keep you posted. My closing comment, especially in regard to a lot of the comments that I saw come through, in the moments that are, when you find yourself in those challenging times, the challenging experiencing that we came here to experience. But if you find yourself getting, pausing there too long, and recognize that you're there. Right? Sometimes we don't even recognize it, and it just keeps swirling. We start getting bitter and angry and snapping at everybody. When you see yourself there, pause. And it sounds easy. It sounds easy, but it is. We make things so complicated, and it's not. Just pause, breathe for a moment, and just say, I'm going to my higher mind in regard to this situation, or in regard to this pain, or in regard to this grief, or in regard to this anger, or in regard to this bitterness. I'm going to my higher mind. I want to see it from that perspective. I want to live this experience from that perspective. And just take yourself back into that moment, and
I love that.
Take a little field trip to your higher mind.
Yeah. I love that. Well, thank you very much, ladies, and everybody here, family. Thanks for being here. So have a great week, I guess, everybody.
Yeah.
See you soon.
Hugs, everyone.
Blessings. Bye.
Huh. We may not be leaving.
We're not leaving. We're hanging out, you guys.
This is an alternate universe. Always being on Terry's channel and YouTube.
It's good we can say goodbye to everybody, because it's like sometimes we're already out and they're still saying goodbye. But
I think it's my internet connection.
They're
saying it's my internet connection. I'm plugged in the modem, but we could all leave the studio. I think that might work.
Well, if you leave the studio, it's still streaming live to streaming live. You literally have to close out the live.
So this is an interesting conundrum.
This is one of those challenges.
This is one of those challenges. Having trouble with the internet connection.
It's a first world challenge.
It is totally a first world challenge. Okay. Now we'll do that. Now we'll try again.